The views and opinions expressed in this content are that of a continuously evolving nature and are subject to change as humanity evolves into higher states of awareness.
Afternoon everyone, just Lee again here, and I'm coming to you from the Boburn Hall Hotel, which I've called in to get a coffee. And what I wanted to talk about in this video is the momentum of positivity and negativity. And the reason I'm calling it momentum is because it is a momentum how it actually transcends from a small force to a large force, a little bit like a car engine. Okay. So an example of this would be, let's say you're having a bad day, okay? Now that bad day always starts at some specific point. And that point is usually something very small. So something small will happen, like for instance, somebody will cut in front of you when you're driving and you'll be like, F's sake, that is the start, okay? So that negative thought puts you in this kind of negative energy fluctuation, which then attracts other negative thoughts to it as well, because as soon as you have that slight negative thought, you're making that your reality, you see, and then your reality is going to mirror your inner reality. Okay, your outer reality always mirrors your inner reality. So after that negative thought, you're going to have another negative thought, which is going to be something else you'll notice on the road, like somebody else driving bad, and then you'll notice another one. And then that'll lead to getting to work and there'll be no parking spaces. And this is the universe actually adapting to your state of being. And the universe actually does this, okay? So what happens is it's like an engine. So it goes from first gear to second gear, which is a little bit more negative. Then third gear, things get worse. Fourth gear, things are starting to become unbearable. And then fifth gear, you end up going crazy, okay, and you crash the car. So it works like an engine. You can either stop the car and fix the issues, or you can keep going and going and eventually you'll crash. And this is why you see people kicking off in train stations, okay? This is why you see children having tantrums. This is all because they've built up this negative energy so much that the only option is to crash, okay? Because it can only go so far before it crashes and then resets. Okay, and that's the negative side. But what people don't realize is that there is actually an opposite to everything in this universe. So if there is a negative way of doing that, you have to realize there is also a positive momentum that you can actually do on purpose, okay? You can literally go the positive route on purpose, and instead of feeling that negative thought, you can literally just think a very small positive thought. Now this doesn't have to be very big. This can be a small thought, like something as simple as oh, I really like my curtains. Like, oh, I love the feel of this steering wheel on my hands. Like even a thought as small as that will start the positive momentum in the same way as a slight negative thought starts the negative momentum. And when you master this, you can then start creating these positive thoughts and positive mindsets, and it'll lead up like an engine into these blissful states where everything around you is amazing, everything's going your way, and your internal reality, which is amazing, is then reflecting on the external, and all these amazing people and events come to you. So it is like a momentum, and once you get on this momentum, it's very hard to stop it, you see. This is why it's like, imagine a car going down a hill. It'll start off slow, and you put it in neutral, and then it'll roll down the hill, and it gets faster and faster and faster. So if you are in a negative state or in a negative mood one day, and you find yourself going too far into it, it's very hard to stop. So you've got to try and stop it before it gets to that stage. As soon as you have the one negative thought, what you've got to do is you've got to compensate that with a positive thought, okay, just to keep it even. And then if you're fully conscious and you haven't and you feel up to it, you can then purposely focus on a positive thought, something very small, and then from that it creates the law of attraction, which will then attract whatever energy you're putting out, attracts the outer world, and then you'll eventually you'll be able to kind of take that into a positive mindset. And the more you do this, the more it gets easier, and you'll eventually get to a point where most days will be very happy, because you'll master how to create your own reality in that sense. So following on from that last section, when you get into a state where you can literally manifest that positive momentum, and you get used to this more often, you'll often find yourself in this state the majority of days, okay? But then you can run into other problems, like for instance, you might meet somebody who's not on that positive state, and you'll come into contact with them and they're on the negative momentum. Now when this happens, sometimes you can change their momentum and make it positive, but sometimes you can't, you see, because a lot of times they're too far into the negative momentum for it to change. And when this happens, you've got to just kind of accept that they're in that momentum, because like I said before, it's like on a hill, and that they're too far into the negative momentum, and you yourself, you've been on this momentum before, so you can understand how hard it is to come out of it. So when this happens, you've got two choices. You can either try and change their momentum and try and slow that car down and get them into more of a positive momentum, or you can actually change your momentum and go into a negative as well. Now, which one would you prefer? So when you think about this, you don't really want to go into this negative momentum again like they are. So what you can do is you can go into something which are kind of like to call 0 point. And what this is you come back to a 0 point, so you're not positive or negative, but you accept both. And then you can sit with this person and just accept the fact that they're negative, but then accept the fact that you're not as negative as them, but you're not positive either. So you can sit in the 0 point, and then eventually just allow the law of change to change that momentum to wherever it needs to go with the other person, okay? Because with the law of change, everything changes after so long. Somebody who's on a negative momentum will eventually come back onto a positive one if they're unconscious and they don't know how to do this themselves. So they're basically like a leaf in the wind, which most people in society are like that, okay? Most people are like a leaf in the wind, and they don't know how to control the positive and negative. And even if you do, sometimes the negative will take over the positive, and you can't stop that, okay? Sometimes a cycle will come where you have to just go with the negative momentum. And when this happens, it's important just to accept it and just allow the law of change to change that naturally. So once you master how to control this positive and negative momentum, you'll find that you'll be in the positive momentum more often than you've ever been. And what will happen is your external reality will mirror your internal reality. So what you'll find is you don't need to be a specific place or with a specific person to be happy and positive, okay? Because that will happen anywhere. Even if you go to somewhere where you used to dislike, you'll end up liking it, because everything on the external is a mirror to the internal. And go easy with yourself here, because some days when you're starting to get used to this, some days you'll have a down day, okay? Don't judge yourself for that. Just continue to allow it to change naturally. Try and change it to positive. If you're unsuccessful, that's fine. That's normal at first. It does take a lot of practice, this. But it will get better slowly, and you'll notice that eventually you'll be able to create these positive, amazing states wherever you are, okay? Even if it's a place where you used to find very unbearable, you can then sit back, look at the positives, think a small positive thought, the momentum will get higher and higher, and then eventually you'll end up even being happy there as well, okay? So try this, guys. Research the law of attraction as well. There's plenty of videos on YouTube about this. That is the main component in this momentum teaching that I'm teaching today. And just try this. Keep practicing it every day. I recommend do this for 30 days if you can. And by the end of the 30 days, you'll be a lot more used to it, and you'll find your reality will just change completely, and you'll start to become a lot happier. Okay, so thanks for listening to me today, guys, and subscribe to my channel, Real Spirit Dynamics, and I'll see you on the next video.